Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, power is taken, not given. Joined as always by John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics. How you doing today, my friend?
Doing good, TJ. One of these days I won't be here, and you'll no longer get to say that that joined as always. But
Oh
today's not
no,
that bad.
yeah, I'm still
That
gonna
is
say it. It's gonna roll off the tongue. I won't be able to help myself. Saying joined as usual, that's gonna sound strange. Yeah, no, it's gonna be joined as always. Yeah,
who cares? We're in a post-truth world, TJ. So
why not? Why not?
we're being joined by Ariana Grande next week. Make sure to tune in at 6:30
Right.
on the Left Wing. Anyway, we were just talking a little bit before the show. I'm feeling like this is an excellent day in the eyes of a left-wing social media content creator because we're just being proven right, like constantly over and over again, and it feels like people are starting to take notice. I don't know how you've been feeling, TJ. I don't know, but I'm seeing a lot of people reaching out to me personally that I know in real life, being like that were either unengaged in politics or Trump voters who are like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I've been telling them, yeah, no, what I said about the tariffs is true. It's not going to go well, and it's going to hurt a lot of people, and it's going to destroy the stock market, and it's going to crush the economy. And they're like, oh yeah, no, it looks pretty much like you were right about that. And your humming is giving me the impression that you have not been seeing that sentiment around, but I have definitely been seeing that this shit. I was already seeing it with the Zelensky thing, which we haven't even had the chance to talk about. But like now that I feel like the stock market is something that like everyone, it's very visible. They have a fairly good understanding that stock market goes up, economy good, stock market goes down, economy bad. Even though that isn't always true, it's pretty reliable that when the stock market crashes 1,200 points in 2 days, that's a bad thing. You don't need to have your master's in economics to understand that. And I feel like a lot of Americans are seeing that. And I'm also seeing the media very clearly reporting like Donald Trump's tariff war and trade war causing this decline in the stock market. But what are you seeing, TJ? How are you feeling with the news of the past 24 hours?
Well, I was curious or interested in hearing the fact that you said you had people who were politically unengaged reaching out and say, okay, that makes sense. But then you said Trump supporters who reached out and said it. That's kind of bizarre to me because
I'm not talking like the MAGA folk because they're clearly MAGA pilled, you know. But I'm talking about the people who voted Republican who were like expecting a Trump term one and being like that was better than the Biden term. Whether obviously we believe them to have been incorrect, but they were genuinely expecting, hey, it's going to be like Trump term one again. Those were good times for me. I'm all right with that. They have just been reminded over and over and over again that like that is not the case over the past several weeks, and watching their stock portfolio crash certainly is a very unavoidable, unambiguous just shock to the central nervous system that, hey, this is not going to be the same. In case you were holding out any hope, we're on the crazy train now.
Yeah, the Trump tariff thing has just been, man, I had something set up to talk about it, but then the news changed on it again. Did you hear about the Commerce Secretary an hour ago?
Well, I heard the Commerce Secretary an hour ago said that he might be walking this shit back tomorrow. We'll see. And we've talked about this before on the show, where it's a classic Trump cycle of, hey, I'm going to do something crazy and then, hey, guys, everyone, Trump is going to do something crazy. And it's going to have these serious consequences if he does. Then he claims victory because a foreign leader said they would do something they were already going to do. And then whatever. I actually expect, TJ, I would not be entirely surprised. I don't know what's happening, but I don't think Canada or Mexico are going to like back down and like suck dick this time. Like, I think he's going to have to just announce that they did something and they're going to say, no, we didn't. And he's going to do it anyway because he can't take this heat.
Yeah, so those of you wondering what we're talking about, if you haven't seen the news on it, yesterday, Trump announced that as of today, that he would be implementing his 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. And he also stated that the everything except for energy when it came to Canada. Energy imports would be tariffed at 10%. And this is the exact same thing he did a month ago. This is why it's so strange to me that we've already been through this. He did this exact same thing a month ago and said, no, this time there's going to be no negotiating. What do you say? No more pauses. We're not doing this pause thing anymore. We're going to go through with it. And I don't know if you heard Justin Trudeau make a statement about the tariffs today. I pulled up the video of him talking about this here. Let's see what old JT had to say here.
The U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time. Encore aujourd'hui, on se voit fort.
Okay, I don't know what that was, but we don't allow any French on this show. Get that frog shit out of here. Okay, all right. Yeah, only Germanic languages spoken here at the left wing. We are, and so yeah, that he came right out and said, okay, we're putting retaliatory tariffs on this. And Trump made a statement today. Did you see that, talking about Canada saying that they're doing the retaliatory tariffs, where Trump said, okay, if you guys do a retaliatory tariff, we're going to match it. So we're going to put a 25% tariff on top of our 25% tariff. I saw that and said, this is absurd. Like, this makes no sense to anyone at all. And the same thing I said last time with the tariffs is that you got to be wondering if the actual overlords, the Illuminati, the billionaire class, are like, no, this can't stand. Like, a lot of people keep saying that Trump wants to push us into a recession. May be true, to help out people, to buy up all the what's left over. But this isn't good for their bottom line either. Like, this type of economic turmoil. So maybe that's why he's turning back on it. But why does he keep doing it? I don't see what he gains out of this.
So again, we are in, and I've said this many times, we are in uncharted waters here. My ability to accurately predict the future is lower than it ever has been, if it ever existed. But something that I have thought would be true since the realization that Trump was going to be president, even before then, even when I was thinking about, like, hey, what if he actually became president and did the tariffs? Like, how would that play out? Something that I have been consistently saying is that there is a certain part of the ruling class that sees the long game here of degrading the U.S. economy to a point where they can swoop in, privatize it all. The problem with that, and the problem with this overly simplistic class reduction, is that the capitalist class in this country is not one class. There are sectors to this shit. And even among the ultra wealthy, we're talking your Elon Musk's, your Jeff Bezos's, your ultra billionaires. Even among them, there is dissension of whether or not they actually want this. The Elon Musk side of the playing field wants to absolutely destroy things so that they can purchase it back up and come back wealthier with more power than ever before. But there's a significant amount of them that are like, yeah, no, guys, like, I've got billions and billions of dollars. That doesn't sound like it's beneficial to me in any way, shape, or form. And then there's your under-capitalist class, your millionaires, 100 millionaires, they're getting fucked here. They're getting royally, absolutely fucked because their assets are in the market. It's going to tank, and they're not going to be able to buy up and build back better, stronger, with more power. It's going to further consolidate wealth into an even smaller few. But the problem is, those small few, while they're incredibly powerful, incredibly rich, they don't hold all the power within that class. They still need everyone else to kind of join this thing. And that's just not going to happen. You're the CEO of a mid-size, still large, like fucking large, but like not the fucking Waltons, like you're just normal rich people. They don't like this. They're going to be talking to their fucking lobbyists and getting them to lobby against this. That it's not good for anyone except an extremely small few. And usually when we talk about that, we talk about things like tax reform, yada, 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 that just generally benefits the fucking, wealthy ruling class and hurts the rest of us. But this is something that only benefits like 20 people and hurts everyone else who has still actual real power and influence in our government. So that's the fight. We've been saying this ever since Trump got elected. We got to let the kaijus fight. And this is where it's going to come to a T. And I can't predict the future. I can't predict who wins, but I do see media interests lining up to label this trade war as Donald Trump's in every headline. They got their marching orders, TJ, and this is Donald Trump's trade war, and he's going to own it.
Yeah, I think you left out a very important group when it came to people who were against this whole dog and pony show with the tariffs and how it badly affects them, and that's like the upper middle class homeowner folks, the biggest group of all that. You wouldn't call them rich or anything like that, but folks who are well off, folks who have their own houses, who are going to suffer big time, and they are the voting base. I mean,
the 10%ers.
Yeah, the top 10%ers, exactly. Yeah, they're the ones who are going to be suffering the most, because the billionaires will be absolutely fine. The 100 millionaires and the millionaires, they'll be a little worse for wear, but they'll be all right. It's easy to go from upper middle class to lower middle class, like in a heartbeat. It's real easy. The economy shrinks on you and everything collapses. Those folks, are going to be terrified. And I imagine maybe those are the people who called you. It's like, I voted for Trump, and now things are falling apart. And it looks, because it is scary. Looking at the stuff Trump is doing and owning the tariff war. I mean, there's no other way to say it, right? Like Trump is he's the only person I've seen talk about tariffs this much in 20 years. Like he keeps saying how it's his favorite word, tariff. Maybe God or family or wife might be a word that I like just as much, but tariff is an incredible word. He says it all the time. And I didn't realize I was sharing already. That was I didn't notice that, but I was gonna pull this one up here, where Trump said to the great farmers of the United States, get ready to start making a lot of agricultural product to be sold inside of the United States. Tariffs will go on external product on April 2nd. Have fun. This is the most bizarre tweet I've ever seen Trump make, saying, hey, farmers, about to fuck you over. Enjoy it. Have fun. Have a good time out there, folks. Life's going to be a lot more difficult for you. You're going to be making a lot less money. You might have to sell your property or sell some of your business. Have fun with that. But the tariffs are going to be fine. The tariffs will go on. It is, and then the stock market thing you mentioned, the stock market is tumbling, and John's completely correct about the stock market, that stock market is actually not a good indicator of the economy. Everyone looks at it like it is, because if the stock market goes up, that helps a certain small sector of people and a little bit for the rest of the population. Stock market goes down, though, everyone suffers. Everything is bad. So we do know stock market going down is bad news. And it's real easy to read, and people are trying to paper over this is the remnants of the Biden economy. You can only do this for so long, and you only do it for so long. And when it's a direct response to Trump raising tariffs for no fucking reason, like, what does he want? What does he want? What does he want Canada to do to get rid of the tariffs? Or China? China just announced that they're putting tariffs on American, like, pork and sorghum and soybeans and stuff like that. Hey, he has no choice but to roll this shit back. Otherwise, the economy will collapse.
Here's the other thing, TJ. The thing that just, like, this is why, like, I'm coming to this with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
We've been saying these people are incompetent, right?
Yeah.
We know they're incompetent, but I honestly underestimated their incompetence. Crashing the stock market intentionally.
Yeah.
On the day you are supposed to give a State of the Union address. P.S. the resistance. That honestly might be better than Four Seasons landscaping. Like, I've never been so excited to watch a State of the Union, because I'm just like, shit. This could get very interesting. This could be the most interesting State of the Union in the history of State of the Unions. They're usually pretty darn boring political theater that doesn't matter. I have no idea what the fuck's going to happen here, TJ. First of all, I want the Democrats to loudly protest or walk out. Hakeem Jeffries' statement that he wants fucking unity right now. Go fuck yourself, Hakeem Jeffries. I know we've said this a lot of times, but there should be. I want UK Parliament level of fucking dysfunction at this thing. It should be as much of a shit show in front of the cameras as it is in real life right now. Like it needs to be unambiguous that we cannot maintain this course of action. This is a perfect opportunity. The attention of the country will never, not never, but is at a peak. In this moment, take advantage.
What do you propose doing at the State of the Union? Because I've seen a lot of people saying the Democrats shouldn't go to the State of the Union, that they should just have like an empty
wasted
side.
opportunity not going. If you're gonna boycott, then go, and as soon as he starts speaking, walk the fuck out. Like that just everyone get up, walk out, and just watch him. Just imagine, TJ, because if he goes and he's seeing no one there, he's going to be able to play with that. He's going to be able to play that up. But just imagine his anger and frustration watching them all walk out on him, and he's going to crack. He will crack like a baby. We saw it just sitting in front of Zelensky. That we will get to that, TJ, here, but that was another thing that a lot of people reach out to. I was at a fucking open bar on Saturday, and everyone was walking up to me and wanted to talk about the fucking thing with Zelensky, and I was like, really? This is what you want to talk about? But it was so clear and obvious in front of the cameras how Trump cracked like a little baby. It just doesn't look good. Everyone can intuit that, even if they know nothing about the foreign policy situation. And to get him to break, we said this about the debates. The victory condition was Kamala getting him to call her the N-word, and he never did. And at best, call her a bitch, and they never accomplished that. The rage that all of today's shit that he's had to deal with, and then the rage of them doing that to him could just cause him to go to a catastrophic meltdown territory. And the political advantage to be gained there is insurmountable. Like you just don't have opportunities like this just given to you. You have to swing for the fences.
So with the State of the Union thing, I agree that not showing up would not be a good idea. I think that it makes you look like a coward, and Trump is going to play with that. Said these folks didn't have the courage to come face me. Yeah, the American people can't trust them. What I think, what I would do, this sprung to my mind just now of how to handle the State of the Union address if I was on the Democratic side. I was just thinking there's 215 Democrats in the House, and I think there's roughly 50 in the Senate, 49, 48, something like that. So that gives you about 260, 265 people for the Democrats that will be there. Split them up into thirds, groups of 80 people each or something, and have them do rolling boos. Just 80 people, you're going to boo.
Start a wave.
You are going to boo for 2 minutes. You are going to do nothing but boo. The next 2 minutes, you switch off to the other group. And then they'll start booing. Boo the entire time. Do not let up. Do not relent. If he gives a speech, make him do the speech shouting over your boos. It's something Trump would do. That sounds like something Donald Trump would do. And it's going to piss him off. He's going to be angry. He's going to be off his game. And why not, right? Why not? We need to quit pretending that there's rules and laws of decorum here we need to follow. Be creative. Do something to throw it off and let people know you're not happy with Trump. I mean, I'm only half joking with this. I think it's a pretty good idea when I think about it. I think it would really throw Trump off.
It sounds like, TJ, it sounds like something like we had said this a year ago.
Yeah.
It sounded like just us being hyperbolic.
Right.
But now, this is the world we live in. This is the thing that I can't stress enough to politicians. We used to live in a world not too long ago where a single statement said wrong could haunt you forever. Think binders full of women. Think read my lips, no new taxes, which Trump alluded to the other day.
He did. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
He's at least understanding of that moment in history. But that used to be that you could say something like that, it could stick with you forever. Nowadays, you could say the worst possible shit and it's gone in 48 hours because something crazier is coming down the line. Again, the Zelensky thing happened on Friday.
Yeah.
It's already old news. And that's pivotal fucking U.S. foreign policy shift. And it's old news.
Yeah.
You can do or say whatever you want. All that matters is consistently winning the moment. Every hour of every day. You just have to win. You're going to lose some, and that's okay, as long as you come out on top the majority of the time. It's never been easier to come out on top against the dumbest opponent you've ever faced in your entire life.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying be shameless out there, but be creative.
I'm saying be shameless.
Be innovative, be creative, and
be innovative. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
do something that'll make you stand out in the crowd. Like the worst thing you can be is forgotten. That you don't want that to happen. You want to stick in people's minds and in their memories. Like, oh yeah, that person. And listen, you can't be afraid of people hating you. Okay, John and I know this. Okay, John and I are very well aware that if you want to get anywhere, you have to be who you are, stand for your principles, and not be afraid of people. This is why I hate to say it, but I do have respect for like conservative content creators that show their face and give their name. I do. It's like, okay, all right, that's a lot more than a lot of people do. You stand for something, you believe in it for whatever reason, nefarious or otherwise, and you're not afraid to, sign your name to it. I respect that, and normal people will too. So what do we have here? Colby says, what do you guys think of the Commerce Secretary saying Trump may walk back tariffs tomorrow? John, you addressed that. John wasn't surprised to hear this. Was that right?
Yeah, I know. We mentioned this in the beginning of the show, Colby, so apologies for anyone listening to start to finish here, but I think it is a good thing to loop back to because of course he is.
Of course he is.
I can't predict the future here, guys, but, and again, we still are a little confused about the tariff. Like, Trump has this infantile obsession.
Yeah, strange.
I don't know who got in his ear about the tariff thing, but like it doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere. Like the cuts to like federal bureaucracy, I can be like, that's coming from Elon Musk. When he like releases the Tate brothers, I'm like, that's coming from Charlie Kirk. Like you can usually tell who's in Trump's ear to make him do whatever. I don't know who the tariff things are.
That's
not as far as I'm aware. It's not like a Project 2025 thing. It's not coming from Vought.
It's Vought here.
Vought. Fuck. It's not coming from Vought. I don't know who wants this. It just seems to be Donald Trump thinks this is like a trade deal thing where he's going to swing his big swinging dick around and get a better trade. He's going to win the trade. He's like and I can't stress this enough. Like if you need to understand this in like red blooded meat, dude terms, like this is a GM of your favorite sports team who wants to win every individual trade at the expense of ever building a championship roster. He's so afraid to make a trade that makes him look bad, or he's going out of his way to make trades that make him look good individually in the heat of the moment that he loses the bigger picture. And this is a great example of that, where he's like, well, I think that we have unfair trade with Canada and Mexico because they're getting more money from us than we're getting from them. And we have a better economy. We should be able to use that as leverage to get better trade deals. And it's like, no, that's not how international trade works. It's a global, interconnected economy that everyone wins when we all work together. And whenever we stop working together, we all lose. You don't want to upset your closest trade partners. They're not your enemies. They're your allies. But Trump sees everyone as an enemy. The only ally he has is himself. And this is what happens when you just run all the way with that ideology and think it's going to work.
I'll address Mark here real quick. Mark says, don't we know that you guys stand for your ideas, bad or otherwise? Now, Mark, if you're going to categorize our ideas into bad or otherwise, there's a whole lot of otherwise going on in the show. Okay, that is like pretty much all of our show. Those are the two categories. But I do want to say that Trump does treat everyone like his enemy, except our actual enemies. Those guys he actually is really friendly with. I heard someone talk. I wish I could remember who said this, but they think that Trump has this thing where our allies, he sees them as subordinates. He sees them as, people on The Apprentice who work for him. And the people and the countries and the leaders who have found a way to, not subjugate themselves to the United States, he actually respects them. He's like, oh, hey, look at that. We got actual fighters here. Like, it's the same thing with bullies, that bullies respect people who fight back. And Trump's like, well, you guys have clearly given up to us if you're our buddies, so I can do whatever I want. And he does have a thing with this where he loves to say, I've been treated very unfairly my entire life. No one has been nice to me. And the United States has been treated very unfairly in all these trade deals. And he always references this. My first memory of this was the Iran nuclear deal. If you guys remember the one that Obama set up, Trump kept saying how unfair the Iran nuclear deal was, that the United States got hosed the entire time. And then he pulled out of it. And I remember talking to a friend of mine saying, okay, what deal does Trump want here? What was so bad about this deal? What was his replacement? It's like, oh, he just wanted a better one. He never even tried to make a better one. That's just, he just likes whining on this. But I wanted to pull this up with Trump's worst one so far. A U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the presidential working group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve. I will make sure that the United States is the crypto capital of the world. We are making America great again. So for those of you wondering what that means in English, what it means is that Donald Trump is planning, his goal is to put, I don't know, hundreds of millions, maybe billions of dollars of taxpayer money into crypto scams. And crypto scams is a bit of a redundancy because crypto is a scam. Like, that's the entire reason for its existence. And if you weren't already positive that Trump is like speed running the United States towards a recession, just throwing this money in to enrich his corrupt buddies that on shit coins and meme coins, like the ones that he did, like the one Javier Milei pulled on people. This is like, it is the scam capital of the universe, this crypto industry. And Trump's like, yeah, let's sink a whole bunch of US dollars into this. This is steal from the taxpayers and give it to the most nefarious and least trustworthy people on the planet. What do you think about that, John?
Yeah, so it's one of those things where usually Republicans are pretty good about naming things, like the No Child Left Behind, being pro-life, just you got to give it to them. What a wonderful turn of phrase. Crypto, terrible name because it sounds scary.
It does.
And the average American, and I'm even like, I would say slightly more pro-crypto than a lot of people on the left. And I'm just saying slightly here. I see its utility potentially in the future. But yeah, what you said right now, it's a scam. And people have mostly negatively associated it with scams. Like fucking, if you try, and this is this is at my day job, I know this shit. Like, if you try to put anything about crypto on your website and you try to advertise your website on Google or Meta, they just go, no, you can't do this. Like, we don't want to be associated in any way. You need legal clearance. We don't want to get fucked with this. And that is how a lot of America views crypto, who isn't actively invested in it, right? And the thing is, it's a fucking gambling asset. Like, there's a reason why the people who buy and trade crypto often also do a lot of fucking sports betting, like the fucking Dave Portnoy's of the world who are fucking into crypto. Like, it is a highly volatile gambling asset.
It's gambling. That's all it is. Yes.
And that is what it is at this point, right? And that's totally fine. If you want to talk to me about it and you're going to be upfront about that, we can have a conversation about it. But having a strategic reserve of crypto it's not only dumb, because we don't want the world to transition off the US dollar. Like, we want the entire world to be using the US dollar as their reserve asset. And it's dumb to be like, hey, let's lead the world away from US dollar dominance. Like, it's just dumb on that level, but it's obvious and opaque and transparent corruption. It is the most transparent corruption you can ever see, where it's like, we're going to pump this up. What happens after we pump it up? It's gonna, I guess, they're making this argument that, oh, this is a strategic asset, but fucking funding for everything that our government does, not important.
That's a liability. That's a bad. Can't do that.
The Department of Education, which has consistently returned positive ROI for decades, is like, oh, well, that's just wasteless spending. But crypto, that's what we gotta put our money into, and people are just falling for it. And to this point, the people falling for it, as much as it sucks, it's like, well, that was a consensual agreement you made. Sorry you lost your fucking shirt, but this is like, no, we don't want to be converting USD into highly volatile crypto. That's the dumbest thing you could possibly do.
It is. There are no even halfway decent explanations or justification for something like this. That where we're saying like something like the IRS, we need to defund the IRS, which obviously consistently has a positive ROI.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? Like
yeah, it's like the most. It's like that's like run the government like the business. No business ever fires the sales team first.
Yeah,
that is
right.
the last
Like,
people who get fired.
Yeah, it's like consistent revenue. It comes in like that, and so it's like no. How about putting it in healthcare? No. But we need to cut Medicaid. These people are mooching off it. Let's put it in the most volatile thing ever created, and since the Great Depression era. And what I want to buy. So there was a clip of. Oh wait, what did Mark say?
I want to address if we want to address Mark's things here, because I want to go in the opposite order. I want to do the first one first because it says chuckle neocons want dollar dominance. Mark, that's true. He's very true about this, and we're about to get into way into the weeds. So I apologize to anyone who doesn't follow all that. But that's why I say, Mark, I'm a little more pro crypto than your average leftist. I would like a universal blockchain currency across the entire globe, decentralized and just sustainable that way. I do see that as a viable alternative future to what our current system we currently have. But come on, bro. We're not there right now. And to just throw away all of the advantages of USD dominance doesn't quite make sense to me. It doesn't seem like it would accomplish our goals. And he said, if you guys answer questions, which we do, this is our Tuesday Q&A show. Anyone who wants to give us a question, this is your time to do it, and we will answer it. He says, I would ask about how free markets connect with free trade, but you kids don't believe in free markets. Mark, I believe in free markets. I'm a mixed market guy. I don't think everything should be a free market because that doesn't actually create a freer market. If you say free markets as free from government interference, and you consider that different than free from monopoly interference, I don't agree with you. I think it should be free markets is when people are able to make the most well-informed free market decisions, not influenced by other unfair trade factors like monopolies, like unfair government interference. And you need a certain level of government interference in those markets to ensure actual free trade that allows you to actually arrive at that price equilibrium, or else you'll end up in an anarcho-capitalist hellscape with complete monopolistic control of all industry. That being said, this is obvious. If you're a free market fucking guy, you're a free market conservative, everything Trump is doing right now should drive you up a fucking wall. You don't get much more anti-free market than putting blanket tariffs on our closest trade partners. That is the least. Anyone who stands for free markets, Mark, I don't know how they can possibly stand by this. This is more against free market capitalism than anything that any Democratic president has done in our lifetimes. And I don't think there's even a close argument to be made.
Look, the term free market is just it's always a sticking point for me because what do you mean free market? That's what it comes down to. It's I need to know because everyone who says that they're a free market capitalist or whatever has a different standard of how free the market should be for free market. So I just take free market as what it means. Free market means unfettered government interference when dealing with commerce and the exchange of goods and services. That's what it actually means. And so when people say free market, well, obviously I don't mean that. Pick a new fucking word then, okay? It's not my fault. I'm the one who's saying free market. When I say I don't believe in the free market, I'm saying it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a free market. It can't exist in the modern world.
Tear up the roads.
Yeah,
tear up the ports.
Yeah, get rid of police forces.
Tear up the FAA. No more airplanes. Yeah, see how you're fucking free markets.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So, all right, what I wanted to pull up here was something that all right. Joe Rogan was interviewing Elon Musk, and he brought up this thing about.
Wait, TJ, look at because Mark said, "Oh, you're right. When Trump used tariffs to be a small country, they can live with it, but tariffs is tariffs." Oh, yeah, this should be disgusting.
What
to conservatives? Mark's saying he's not a fan of the tariffs either. And I think that every not just MAGA pilled Trump dick sucking Republican, this should be pissing them off because it is the most obvious government interference in the free market you can possibly get.
All right, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay,
It doesn't for like the congressional ones. Well, with the exception of a few.
Yeah,
your Rand Pauls have been pissed about this, but of course,
well, Rand Paul is pretty consistent about that. I will say that. But I'm talking about like your average MAGA person. There, I keep seeing people saying, "I don't care if I pay $200 for groceries." They don't care about that because the economic policies was just a shell to cover up why they really voted for Trump, and we all know why. But anyway, this is the thing I want to pull up here. I don't know why it's popping up immediately. It never did this before. It always
play with meme coins. So,
so this is Trump and Musk. Shut up. This is Trump and Musk. Trump. Rogan and Musk talking about crypto at first, I believe. Then they get to Social Security.
The whole meme coin thing is bananas.
Yeah,
it is so bananas that people dump real money into these coins, and then you could just pump them up and sell them.
A casino or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's totally gambling.
People just do whatever the greater fool theory and musical chairs, and whoever's like the last to sit down loses type of thing.
And somehow or another, it's still legal.
This is a great point. I say it all the time when it comes to this. Is like, wow, this stuff needs a lot more regulation. Like, it is crazy that you're allowed to do this. Well, first, it's crazy that people fall for it. I don't get it. Like, I think, which is Rogan, I think he was going to at first, is it's weird that this keeps happening. Like, the people who lost all that money for investing in the Hawk Tua girl coin or something like that, I didn't feel sorry for them, but it shouldn't be allowed in the first place. But what's great about this is that Rogan stumbles onto a pretty good point, broken clocks and everything, and saying, wow, it's weird that this is legal. Watch Elon Musk's response to this very obvious point.
Like, that's
I mean, the thing is, I think not too many people, I mean, it's sort of like you go to the casino, like if you expect to win at the casino, you're being a fool. Okay?
Right.
So I think if you expect to win at meme coins, you're being foolish. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not going to win at meme coins. It's like it's but if you want, like, don't sink your life savings into a meme coin.
No, but you can gamble a little, and you can ride waves and win a little and lose a little.
If you want to have some fun, and don't come, then play with meme coins. So,
but if you put your family's wealth
on a meme coin
in the Hawk Tua
at the risk
coin,
of saying something bold and outrageous, don't bet the farm on a meme coin.
The weird one is the pump and dumps. Like, people
happen
all the time.
Yeah.
And people get shocked that somebody pump and dumped. Like, what are you doing? Did you like, I was hoping to dump. I was hoping to make all the money out of this. I can't believe they got me. Like,
yeah.
It's just weird that it's legal still.
I mean, casinos are legal.
Yeah.
And
it is
people
like
just lose money at casinos.
Yeah.
You know?
But you can't rig a casino like a pump and dump. You could rig a pump and dump.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, you could run a real pyramid scheme.
Well, I mean, the government's one big pyramid scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, you can tell me better than anybody.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Okay, so for those of you who hadn't seen that before, have you seen that, John? That was so I love this interview here because if you're watching this, it's very obvious what's going on here. Joe Rogan is an idiot. And so he's just kind of saying, wow, this is kind of bad. I can't believe this is happening. And Elon Musk is doing his best to deflect from the conversation. Just at reaching for every straw he can find. It's like, well, casinos are bad too. Well, the government is bad. Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. Just doing everything he can to not address the point that, wow, this thing that you're deeply involved in should be illegal and you shouldn't be allowed to do it.
So I'm going to disagree with you here, TJ.
All right.
Because I've never thought Joe Rogan's an idiot. I've always said Joe Rogan is a pretty smart dude, like, for a normal person who got way too large a microphone. Like, he didn't deserve the microphone that he had. He was wielding way too much power with not enough ability to wield that. But, like, for a comedian, podcaster, UFC fight announcer, he's a perfectly reasonably intelligent dude. And in that interview, he was being smart there, TJ. Like I don't know if you picked up on this, but he consistently went back to the pump and dump thing. He didn't allow Elon to circle out of it, and he just said pump and dump and stop talking and let Elon fill in that silence. And that's high level interviewing right there. Like, that is legitimately, like, I'm trying to entrap my interviewee into answering this question that I know they don't want to answer. And I can't be just direct about it or I lose access. So I have to do it in this very delicate way. And I think he did in that moment way more than he ever does, or at least way more than he usually does, try to hold Elon to this point. Because I think Joe Rogan genuinely views this as a bad thing. Like I'm starting to see the conservative manosphere guys that aren't necessarily MAGA guys, like a Joe Rogan, starting to come around on sports betting, starting to come around on crypto. Not from we need to make this shit totally illegal necessarily, but from a, hey, this is just obviously too much. Like, we shouldn't have, as much as these people were for, like, you know, legalized sports betting, sometimes for the wrong reasons, but like in general for it. But then they're like, yeah, but should we really let DraftKings send push notifications to your screen when they know you just got paid? like maybe that.
I hadn't heard about that. Yikes.
Yeah. Like maybe that.
Oh my God, that's bad.
You know, like that's maybe we shouldn't do. And like they're starting to say this shit. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Rogan genuinely is like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are getting hurt by this shit, and they're doing the classic conservative thing where they're blaming the individual for making bad decisions instead of blaming the system for enabling them. But like also, he was kind of coming around like, hey, maybe this should be illegal. I'm going to try and hold Elon to this, and Elon wiggled his way out of it in the most not the most dumb way possible, but he leapt out of the frying pan into the fire with that answer.
All right, so all right, Mark, I really acted it. Mark says, TJ, give John a Zelensky. Don't let him disrespect you. John was the rude person. I don't know, John. Because I think John's right. Is that I used to listen to Joe Rogan. I think all of us did. Like I remember listening to Joe Rogan 10 years ago.
I never listened to his podcast. It's just too damn long. I just can't get through it. But I've always liked Joe Rogan in general, and I used to like him a lot more. But he never really changed that much, besides like COVID.
Well, that's
that shifted him, but like the general gist of the show has never really changed.
Yeah, when I listened to Joe Rogan in the past, I always found him like funny and entertaining, and I didn't think he was dumb. I thought he was just insightful in a lot of ways and curious, and which turned out to come back and bite him. So I would describe Rogan as not dumb. You're correct, gullible, 100% gullible, like 100%. One of the most gullible people I've ever seen, and. He was coming to the point like that everyone can see pretty normally. It's like, oh yeah, this is really hurting people's lives and everything. And watching Elon Musk, like first, Elon Musk has a stutter, it's pretty bad and everything, but it seemed to be worse than usual there. He's just like fumbling around trying to find some sort of point. It's like, well, what about casinos? As like, it was literally whataboutism. Like whenever he brought up how bad pump and dumps were or crypto scams were, it's like, well, what about this? This is bad. What about this? This is bad. It's like, no, you're not addressing the point. And maybe he was. Like maybe Rogan, I guess by giving the benefit of the doubt, was trying to push Elon or something. But I don't know. The gambling thing though, John, that is something that I think we're gonna have to reckon with in society sooner rather than later. Because honestly, like, listen, oh my God, when I was your age, I could never dream of seeing sports gambling commercials like on TV, on your phones. It's like, no, this is highly destructive to society. I mean, I would put like gambling addictions and the problems it causes people right up there with smoking. Like we're gonna ban smoking commercials and everything. I don't see why they don't put the kibosh on this gambling shit, because it is getting wildly out of hand. Down to the crypto thing. The crypto thing is just an extension of the fact that people are looking for ways to make a quick buck and destroying their lives doing it.
It's one of the things that I've really done a 180 on the most. And again, I'm talking
me too.
Yeah, a 180 since because I grew up in a very pro sports gambling environment, and my family wasn't losing their house, but we would bet on games together. I'd bet my uncle like, hey, we're gonna bet $1 on this game. Like it was like a bonding experience for us, and like I was taught how to do it responsibly. My dad, his like hobby is poker. He goes and he plays poker. He's very good at it. Like I was taught how to gamble responsibly and intelligently and treat it like the vice that it is. And if you're going to treat it like anything else, do your fucking homework. which is why I stopped sports gambling, because I started treating it and doing my homework. And I realized, fuck, I'm spending hours and hours and hours to make a 3% return on my investment.
Yeah.
And that's just dumb. I lost the joy by trying to win it. And so, like, yeah, that's like, I know that prohibition doesn't work, because that's what we used to have. We used to have prohibition, and it doesn't work. It also destroys lives on a slightly less massive scale, but it allows the destruction of a life to be so much more rapid.
Yep.
Because instead of having it being in a regulated environment, you're having the mob run it, or you're having whoever run it. And like, yeah, it destroys your life to go into debt to DraftKings, but you're much better off than if you go in debt to fucking bookies, right? So like, there's a middle ground answer here. The pendulum swung way too fucking far, and it's one of those things, and also one of those things where, like, you talk about like masculinity in politics. This is a great like men's gateway issue, because this is a thing that affects men way more than it affects women. Just like who it's marketed to, and who typically, is the one gambling. It's partially a cultural thing, partially just a human psychology thing. Men are a little bit more risk-taking, tend to be seek more risk-taking behavior than women. Just the way we're wired on average, right? But like, yeah, like this is a gateway issue where you can pry a lot of Rogans of the world onto the right side and be like, yeah, you don't need prohibition. There are good government regulations that will help a lot of people and make this better for everyone. Kind of like we're talking about with the trade thing, where it's like, yeah, total free trade, bad, because it allows the greedy bastards who are evil to take advantage of people and hurt them. But some regulation can allow everyone to have fun, everyone to have consensual, educated decision-making in this process, and not be manipulated by just free reign capitalists, because they will destroy millions of lives and not blink. And I think that is actually a very good entry point into left-wing politics for a lot of men out there.
Yeah, I mean, like with gambling, they should be really more heavily regulated. Like, honestly, back to where it was, I don't know, 20 years ago. Like, you can't send push notifications when people get paid. You can't do commercials on TV or all that.
That's all insane.
Yeah, it's all insane.
Make people go to the casino.
I want
sports gambling to be legal and accessible to everyone. Mm-hmm. Make them go to a location and bet their money physically, because that is a whole barrier to that.
Yeah.
The thing that really crushes so many people on a mass scale is just that instant gratification, clicking that button. I mean, we see it with fucking mobile games too, that should also be illegal, but like, let's start with this one.
I am all on board with that. It's just, I've had to, once again, like, I have my principles, but my principles change when they no longer result in something positive for reality. Like, I'm not going to be stuck in something that clearly is not working, and just like flooding people with gambling ads. I think it's just, you can't tell me that there's a positive benefit to society from this. I would love for you to show me how this helps us in any way. And I'm so glad you brought up some about masculinity, John, because we'll probably talk about this more on Thursday because it's such a good topic. But I don't know if you saw that thing where a bunch of nameless Democrat operatives went to this resort and they were too cowardly to share their names. That bothered me.
But did it surprise you, TJ?
No, I guess not. But they went together, and this was published by Third Way. And a lot of people are saying it was published by the Democratic Party. It was not. This is published by Third Way, which is a centrist organization. They've always tried to say that, well, there's actually good ideas the Republicans have and good ideas the Democrats have. Let's bring them together. So I don't expect much from them. But I wanted to go over a couple of these. We only have a few minutes. We can probably go over Thursday. It's a good topic, but to see what you thought on these. So these were their suggestions for Democrats to try to win elections in the future. Takeaways on how Democrats can reconnect culturally with the working class. The first one is move away from identity politics, stop addressing voters as identity blocks, and instead focus on shared American values. Use plain language and avoid jargon or abbreviation that can alienate voters. Acknowledge that people have multiple identities, for example, Black and veteran. Hey, that's me, rather than reducing them to one label. I like this one. I know people have been shitting on a lot. I think for the most part, that's a pretty good one. What about you?
Yeah, For the like there's nothing about those words
Yep.
straight up that I disagree with. Like, yeah, and we've been saying move away from identity politics for a while now. So like, yeah, like that makes sense. Does that mean abandon trans people? No, it does not.
No.
Does it mean, hey, like, we don't need to be like, kneeling down in our fucking whatever
Kente
they were called,
cloths. Kente
kente
cloths. Yeah.
for Black History Month? Yeah, we don't need to be fucking doing that. Like,
Yeah.
that let keep just the politicians don't need to be doing that. Let whatever cultural leaders who want to do that. But like the fucking political leaders, let's just chill on that shit because it's clearly not helping anyone.
I'm fine with, because with the Democrats, the problem that they've had ever since, like, say, the 70s or after the civil rights movement is this. They took the gains from the civil rights movement for minority communities and for women and said, okay, we are going to focus on, triumphs for these communities, whatever. And just focusing on the cultural part and not necessarily the economic part or like the power part, or doing the wrong thing and say, I saw some post today celebrating a Black billionaire. It's like, oh, God, that's not the way to do this, folks. That's not how we're going to get succeed. We'll talk about this more later. The next one, emphasize shared values and cultural alignment. Frame rights as about freedom and justice, not just identity. It's kind of the same one.
So I do have roll through those bullet points because I do have some thoughts on them.
Highlight similarities between marginalized groups and mainstream American values. Embrace patriotism, community, and traditional American imagery, such as farms and main streets.
Yeah, so this is one of those things where I'm like, I agree with it, but that's kind of what the Kamala campaign did. Like, they did all of those things. Like, and I do think that it was successful. So if they're saying like, hey, let's keep doing that.
Yeah.
Cool, I agree with you. But if this is like, hey, this is our autopsy of the Democratic Party, this is what's wrong, this will fix it. No, fuck.
All right. And this next one is interesting to me. It says, rebalance the party's cultural messaging, reject fringe positions that alienate the median voter, avoid overly moralistic and condescending messaging, speak plainly and directly, allow candidates to express personal faith and values without fear of backlash. This is among the worst ones to me because it doesn't say anything at all. Tell me what the fuck you mean by fringe position that alienates the median voter. Allow candidates to express personal faith and values without fear of backlash. When has that ever happened? Like, when has a candidate ever expressed their personal faith and received some sort of backlash for it? I'd love to see examples like from people in the Democratic Party. Like, right, you can point to some random Twitter comments or whatever like that. But I don't know. I think that's one of the worst. I don't know what you think, John.
I had the same exact thought where it's actually a lot like what like J.D. Vance likes to pull this technique where he says something where he's like, I don't agree with all of what these people had to say. And it's like, bitch, name specifically what you agree with and disagree with. Right. Because it sounds to me, and this is why I pissed off a lot of people on the left. It sounds to me, can you put it back on the screen, TJ, so I can read it off? It sounds to me that when you say reject fringe positions that alienate the median voter, you're talking about Gaza. That's what it feels like you're talking to me. You're like, oh, allow candidates to express personal faith and values without fear of backlash. It talks to me about, being a Zionist.
Yep, that's what it sounded like. Yep.
That's what it sounds, because that's the only thing I've ever seen like Democratic politicians stand by their faith and values and receive backlash for. Like, that's the only thing. So, like, if that's what you're talking about, then no, fuck you.
Right.
That's wrong. You're wrong. That is not what you should do. You should not stand with fucking fascists in order to defeat other fascists. That's not what you do. The fact that, I'm sorry, but the leopards will eat your face eventually. Not good strategy, not good morality.
Yeah. And say what you mean, you fucking cowards. Like, quit hiding behind, oh, this kind of thing here, this kind of thing there, and stop conflating Judaism with Zionism. Like, it's insulting, and it's I don't know, it's really upsetting. All right, the next one we have here, reduce far left influence and infrastructure. What the hell are you talking
insane.
about? Like,
Utterly insane.
I just like
what influence of infrastructure?
Oh my God, John, how many calls do you get from like governors and attorneys general across the state? It happens all the time, right? They can't stop getting this far left influence, right?
It's insane. Wait, put it back. Keep this on the screen because like we got to go point by point here. I need it in front of me.
Build a moderate democratic infrastructure, including media, talent pipelines, and communications networks. Push back against far-left staffers and groups that exert a disproportionate influence on policy and messaging. It's hard to even read these. Ban far-left candidate questionnaires and refuse to participate in forums that create ideological purity tests.
So, like, here's again. Build a moderate democratic infrastructure, including media, like that exists. I'm sorry,
astounding,
but that is what the party is right now. Like, I don't even know, because some of these I'm like, I know what they're trying to refer to. I don't even know what they're trying to refer to here, because that's what like fucking MSNBC is.
Yep,
like that is. If you were to like close your eyes and picture what that is, it's MSNBC. So again, I don't know what you're talking about there. Push back against far left staffers. Push back against the people you're employing.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that? You fire them. Like what? Like you wouldn't be employing them. Like I don't. That doesn't make sense. And groups. They always talk about the groups, and it's like which fucking groups?
Yep.
What are they saying? What influence do you think is disproportionate, and why do you think it's disproportionate? Why, like again, what groups are you? If you're talking about the NRA, cool, buddy, I'm all for you on that one. They're not a far left group, so what are we talking about? What do you mean by far left? Why is far left bad? They don't even say why it's bad. They and none of these suggestions are like, yeah, we don't want the far left stuff because it's this. Like, this all seems coded to be like, yeah, let's fucking jettison the trans people from the party. Like that really is what all of this sounds like to me. And they're like, we want to say fuck trans people without saying it.
Yeah, I hate the being purposefully vague and opaque in what you're saying right there. And one thing, John, something that I can't believe I didn't say this earlier, because we spent a whole 2 months talking about having a left-wing Joe Rogan. We had one, and we still kind of do. Jon Stewart. I was just thinking about that today, that Jon Stewart was essentially the Democrat Joe Rogan for 15 years. Mm-hmm. And there was no bigger...
And he was quite good at it.
He's great. Yeah, there was no bigger media personality that talked about politics to the common person than Jon Stewart for the entire Bush administration and Obama. Well, not the entire Bush administration, but mostly the Obama administration. Go ahead.
Yeah, most of the Bush, he was the one who really took it to Bush.
Yeah,
and he was the one the most dominant era of Democratic politics.
Yes,
was when Jon Stewart was at the helm.
Yeah, we had our own Joe Rogan, and it's over. It's done. So it has been, I was thinking, I can't believe I didn't think about that. It has actually been done before, but I just can't. I really hate this. Well, the far left is, but tell me what the far left is. Tell me what you're talking about. If they had come out and listed out policies hey, that time that you supported X, Y, or Z policy, I think that hurt. I'd have a hell of a lot more respect for this. I would have a lot more respect because you're putting your money where your mouth is saying, don't do this. Because what's far left to me is not what's far left to John, right? Mm-hmm. And what's far left to John isn't what's far left to, I don't know, John Fetterman or Donald Trump. It means something else to different people. So it's kind of stupid. I never liked that.
Before we move on to the next one, Mark says, MSNBC, you guys are nuts on that. I think what he's saying is he's they're actually far left extremists. But Mark, I feel like you can very clearly understand that you watch this show.
Yeah, come on, yeah.
And I'm sure you'd consider us far left, which I will say
I would too.
Relative to the American median voter, we're far left. MSNBC, way to our right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure you can recognize that. So I'm confused to why you don't think MSNBC is a media communications arm for the moderate wing of the establishment Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
They take their fucking literal people who've worked for the Democratic Party and make them pundits all the time. It's the same thing that Fox News does. For the Republicans. So I'm confused.
Chris Hayes and Joe Scarborough are far left. I don't know. That's a weird one.
Mark thinks we're neocons with bad ideas. We're neoconservative.
Neocons.
That's an interesting way to describe our politics. But
it's because we don't want to see Ukraine destroyed. Probably it's fucking neocons. All right,
that is when he did start saying that.
That probably is it. That's probably it. They're kind of predictable. All right, engage the working class in their spaces. Get out of elite circles and into real communities. I like this one. Tailgates, gun shows, local restaurants.
It's you had me in the first half. that screams how do you do, fellow normies? Let's go to the gun show.
I laughed. I audibly laughed when I read this because you're right. At first, it's like, oh, yes, yeah, get out of your ivory towers and sitting around your universities and your tweed jackets talking about quantitative easing or whatever, and go out and get in the community. And then it said go to tailgates and gun shows. Listen, if you're some fucking nerd liberal, the last thing you need to do is hang out at a tailgate. Or if you don't already do that, don't. There are plenty of ways to mix with regular folks than hanging out. I'll have a beer, please, and sitting down. You don't want to be that guy. Yeah, that was kind of dumb.
That was it was so funny.
God, that was great. You can tell this is written by a fucking nerd. All right.
That is someone who hates those people, by the way. Like that, like, he hates.
Wouldn't be caught dead
all
with
of
them.
those things.
Yep. All right. Own the failures of democratic governance in large cities and commit to improving local government. Show up in unfriendly media spaces and engage with voters outside traditional democratic strongholds. Those last ones aren't too bad. Like, yeah, admit when
100%.
when problems are going wrong. Like, San Francisco has a big homelessness problem. Address it. Like, I agree. I of course, you're not going to like my solution.
Throw the homeless people under the bus? No. And I
of course,
that's what it means. I feel like it means just go conservative on the homeless people. And so I agree with that, but you didn't say that. So the things that you said, I agree with.
Yeah, address the failures that Democrats run across because of course they're going to happen. We critique them all the time, but what it really means is agree with Republicans when they say that, homeless people should be used for compost or something or whatever they are practicing out there. Improve Democrat communication and media strategy. Conduct a comprehensive study on media consumption to better understand how to reach voters. That's great advice. Develop a stronger, more relatable Democratic media presence. Encourage candidates to be bold, engaging, and authentic in their messaging rather than overly polished. Now,
they're gonna have out of this one. That one just A+ every single one.
They're going to have a problem there because the politicians who succeed and the politicians who rise to prominence in the Democratic Party are not generally those type of people. You'll get a few every now and again, but the Democrats hate them. The Democrats can't stand them. The Democrats want nothing to do with them. So, you're going to have to be willing to buckle on your pearl clutching whenever someone mentions what if rich people paid more taxes. Well, you're gonna have to start folding on that if you want to accomplish that goal.
I think it's the next one, but we're gonna get to why that one was a little bit have your cake and eat it too.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
I'm sorry. No, it's the next one after that. But yeah, we'll continue going.
All right, number 7, embrace moderation, individualism, and masculinity. Reconnect with values like hard work, rugged individualism, and entrepreneurialism. Be more accepting of masculinity and male voters who feel alienated from the party. Shift focus from progressive mission creep to core Democrat issues that resonate broadly. I don't know what that last one means. I have no idea what they're trying to say there.
So in general, reconnect with values like hard work. I don't like rugged individualism. Let's do rugged, communalism. I don't know if I know what you want to call it, but like get back to the bootstrap mentality. We are the party of the working class. We're the people who will work hard for one another. Make that community messaging very prominent, or else you're just going to go Republican light and lose to the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Be more accepting of masculinity and male voters. 100%. Snaps, we're good.
Yep.
Shift focus on progressive mission creep. What mission? Like again,
I don't know what that means.
What core Democratic issue? Again, this is the other thing, TJ, that just like it just frustrates the hell out of me. Why do you think you're the core Democratic issue? Why do you think you know that? Because you just got your asses fucking kicked. So maybe the core Democratic values ain't what you think they are. It shocks me that they think that they know what the core values are.
Yeah. I really and I'm not even trying to be a prick. I genuinely don't know what they're talking about. Like I have no clue whatsoever. I have to know what they mean by shift focusing from mission creep to core Democratic issues. Like I don't know like what the core Democrat. I don't know. All right, so let's get the one that jumped.
They saved the best for last. TJ.
Oh, this is a home run. This is great. This is fantastic. All right. Revise Democratic fundraising priorities. Move away from the dominance of small dollar donors whose preferences may not align with the broader electorate. Give candidates and campaigns more flexibility in how they spend funds without excessive donor constraints. What do you think about this one, John? This was the grand prize right here. They saved the best for last.
This one, I almost couldn't believe it when I read it. It's like move away from the dominance of small
Incredible.
dollar donors
Incredible.
that may not align with the broader electorate. That sentence is structurally incoherent.
It is.
On the level of a Donald Trump statement.
Yep.
If the small dollar donors who are the broad electorate aren't fucking aligning with themselves, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't even know how to adequately express how dumb of a statement that is. Because if it's not the small dollar donors, it's the big dollar donors. Why the fuck are the fucking like big dollar rich multimillionaire billionaire class know what the common voter wants more than the common voters who are giving you like that doesn't make sense even when you think hard about it. Even if you assume the best possible intent, it makes no fucking sense.
This doesn't happen often in our field, but you'll run across every now and again this unicorn, this argument that cannot be steelmanned. Like there's no way I can't do it. Like I've been days. It's been a couple days since I've seen this. I can't formulate a coherent defense for this. They're like, listen, all the small donors, fuck them. Ignore them. Ignore it. Go. So you have to go with the big dollar donors. Like John said, you have no choice. And listen to them. They're going to have the best interest of the small, the populace in general in mind. They're really going to have interests that coincide. It's insanity. And it seems to reject everything they talked about before. Like, be out there mingling among the common people, address what the common people want. Don't act all high and mighty and holier than thou. Don't accept their money or take their advice, though. That's the entire thing boils down to that, and it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah. It's utterly incredible. And to wrap this up, I wanted to address this because it speaks to the masculinity thing. Mark said snaps need to work on that masculinity. Here's the thing, Mark, and to any men listening to me out there, if you're defining your masculinity based on what other people think is masculine, that's the opposite of fucking masculinity, and it's what a lot of people do. Yeah. And if I want to go snaps, that's how I want to fucking do it. And I just do it. And that is what I feel that I wanted to express myself. And I feel confident in the way that I express myself. That's fucking masculine. Hate to break it to you, but that's what real strength is. That's what real masculinity is. That is what we need to redefine on the left as masculinity, because right-wing masculinity has never been more fragile. It's never been
so fragile. I know.
Again, the toxic masculinity is thrown around, but like what everyone saw with Zelensky and Trump advanced was toxic masculinity. They are doubling down on it. They think they looked good. They look really bad about this shit. And it's never been a better time for me to be like, yeah, snaps, that's masculine. What the fuck are you going to do about it? That's a winning message.
I think you got to give Mark a pass here because I have great intelligence that Mark has tiny little girl thumbs and he actually can't snap. You can't do it. So
you know what? You're right, Mark. I might have been being atheist.
Yeah. So I think
if you have tiny little girl thumbs and you can't snap, yeah, I understand why that might be so.
Yeah, it's typing out the comments is pretty difficult on his phone. When he put a little thumb, he's gotta use his finger and shit. All right, so we ran a little bit late today, but what do we got this week for our guest, John, on Thursday? Who we got here?
We have the wonderful psychologist of politics, and I'm completely Keegan. I was like, it's not Kevin. Keegan will be joining us, his second time as a guest, first time returning guest. We'll be talking about the Trump State of the Union tonight and whatever the hell goes down. Very excited to talk about it. We might even be going back into that list. TJ, we should definitely.
I know we should. We're definitely going to do it again. It's great.
If you guys liked this video right now, comment on it. If you want us to go through the rest of their suggestions, we will do that. Otherwise, we'll see you guys 6:30 EST on Thursday for a regular show with Keegan. Anything else to say, TJ?
No, we got that list. Actually, that's 8 things they said, but there's like 50 on that list, so there's a lot more we can go over. So it'll be pretty fun on Thursday. But nope, catch you guys Thursday. Oh, that was a fun show. You're right. I wasn't really feeling